And now it's time for the sponsor perspective portion of our program. Please welcome Mary Mack, CEO of Consumer and Small Business Banking at Wells Fargo, and Emily Gresham, Assistant Vice President of Research and Economic Development and the co-founder of Startup at Florida International University we were just talking about. Over to you, Mary.
Thank you, Steve. And I am delighted to be here today with you all, and am delighted that Emily is here with me. So Emily, talk a little bit about the challenges you're seeing. You know, Florida International University serves 58,000 students and is a real hub of Miami. So I imagine you see a lot, but what are the toughest challenges?
Yeah, no, we're seeing a lot. And thank you, Mary, for having me. It's so excited to be here and talk about our program. I think right now, the biggest challenge for our entrepreneurs is doing everything in a new normal. It is a complete paradigm shift for them. And even before that, right, Miami small businesses are really small, they're really diverse, and they're informal. So what does that mean? 82,000 small businesses, 66% of them have less than 4 employees. Our community is super diverse. So we're talking about 80% of our residents are minority, 50% are foreign born. So immigrants play a really important role in our small businesses. In fact, they own 73% of our small businesses. And so if you think about that, they also start a lot of informal businesses. So while we have 82,000 official small businesses, we have 500,000 informal ones. And so being able to reach out to them is really hard. They're sole proprietors. They're head down working. They're skeptical of technical assistance programs because it sounds too good to be true. And I think that's why it's so great to be able to be at FIU. They know FIU. We're an anchor institution. They believe in education. So we're there for them. And that's 50% of the battle. They know who we are. Secondly, we design our programs so that we meet them where they are, not where people think they should be. And so having really accessible technical assistance program, knowing that when we tell them what they should do, we're there to also help them along the way.
And innovation is a big focus for you all, right? So talk about some of that, because I think that's been really key to everything we've all been dealing with for the last 18 months, but especially small businesses.
Everything. Pivot, pivot, pivot. It's a favorite word of the 21st, of 2021, pivot, and digital, right? And so innovation is important from that perspective. For example, we had a small business that came to us in 2019, Nadia, Haitian American woman, owns Sweet Delight cheesecakes. She was cooking out of her mom's kitchen, selling, making about $7,000 a quarter. When she came to us, she couldn't get a bank loan because she maxed out on revenue, right? She couldn't do anymore. So we understood that part. So she had access to a commercial kitchen right away and technical assistance from our faculty. So she redeveloped her recipes, learned how to make them big batches. Then we hooked her up with like industry mentors, us, the staff, students. And so she developed an e-commerce strategy. In about 6 months, she doubled her revenue and actually was able to get a loan to go into retail, which was super awesome, her own retail space. Then COVID. So everything closed. And what that was like so devastating, I'm not gonna lie. However, because she had her e-commerce strategy already in place, she still doubled her revenue. So she went from 7,000 to 14 to a little over 25. Even during COVID. And so we saw how powerful these programs were, which is why we're so grateful for this grant from Wells Fargo. The digital transformation program is going to be life-changing. And learning from the pandemic, learning that people actually like virtual, they want instruction virtually. So we have this high-tech, high-touch approach now. We're on a platform, people can access us any time of the day, even if they miss it. But more importantly, we're also doing classes at 7 p.m., like my poor staff, because that's really when small business owners have time. And so we do that. And then we still have high touch, because just because you tell someone to have a digital strategy doesn't mean they can implement it. So really being able to pair people up with mentors is super important. But that's sort of what I'm seeing on the ground. Wells Fargo has really been at the leading edge of all of this, dealing with all of the challenges the pandemic seen across your communities, right? Not just Miami. So I'd love to just hear from you about what opportunities you see in this new normal.
Well, your story you just told, Emily, is perfect because we see that from small businesses across the board. And, the Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP, was really important for businesses throughout 2020 and then again in 2021. So we were delighted to lean into PPP in a way that allowed us to help some of the smallest and most fragile and most diverse small businesses that we serve. Over 280,000 small businesses got additional capital, $14 billion put back in. And our best estimate is over 1.7 million jobs were impacted by those PPP investments into those businesses. So that was terrific. But what we also realized, as you point out, is that recovery is a long process for many of these businesses because they had to change and retool. So we turned around and put 100% of the gross fees that we received in the 2020 PPP program, about $420 million back into the small business recovery. So we supported CDFIs with capital grants that could go back in, as well as what you mentioned, technical assistance. So we know that the small businesses not only need capital, but they also need help and support and know-how as to how to retool or how to take some improvements that they may have been making already to their businesses and really accelerate those, because we as consumers have changed what we want to do, how we want to do it. And so we're delighted, for instance, with the Food Entrepreneur Program at FIU, because it's exactly that. It allows for the innovation and technical assistance of small businesses to really reinvent themselves in a way that they can prosper and we can enjoy what's the lifeblood of the American economy, which is the small business. So thank you. Thanks for being a partner in this. We are delighted to be engaged with you all. And I don't know if there's anything else you would add, but I would just add my thanks.
Oh, and thank you so much. And I think investing in CDFIs and TA programs right now are so important, because if you think about how important the PPP were for certain small businesses, informal economy, sole proprietors, baby companies, they couldn't access PPP. So the other half of what you're doing is, to me, the lifeblood of what's going to get everyone back up and running. So thank you for this program.
Well, and where you started with diverse small businesses, 80% of those open for business, which is our moniker on the reinvestment of those $420 million in fees, 80% of those funds are going to help diverse small businesses. So that's a super important part of what we believe in, and what you all believe too. So we're just delighted to be a part of it.
Yeah, and thank you. And thank you for hosting this forum. I think it's important for everyone to hear.
Great, thank you. Have a great day.
You too.